Every time I say the word Nmap on stream, somebody pops into the chat and says, "Oh my God, warn people about Nmap." If you work in a environment where anybody is watching, anybody at all, if you have network security people or InfoSec people, make sure they know, make sure you have permission to do things like Nmap on your network. However, Nmap is a really useful tool for security baselining. If you just deployed some firewall rules or you're trying to get a baseline of systems, Nmap is a great way to get that done. So it's included in a package that's just called Nmap. It's included with RHEL. And we're going to install it. I didn't install it beforehand because I wanted to show you what the package name was and stuff. We have touched Nmap in the past, so not exactly new territory here. But there we go. It's installed. You notice it installed a dependency called nmap-ncat. We're going to talk about that one in another one as well, but ignore that for now.
Quick, before you actually go into the technical details of running Nmap, why, because of its behavior, would someone need to know about you using this tool?
Because it does port probes and port scans, right? And that's generally seen as bad. It's generally seen as the precursor to an attack. I told you I have two machines and I forgot I installed this on the wrong one.
What's going to happen is we're going to run Nmap against another machine, and the scanning machine that's actually running Nmap will kick off thousands of connections to our target machine to try and probe whether things are open or not. That's why you want to make sure that, one, you have permission to use this tool, and two, you notify your networking team or your security team that you're about to use this tool. Otherwise, they will get this big alert on their monitoring software that says, like, machine under attack, thousands connections received. And in a lot of environments, this is not a permissible tool to use. So you really want to make sure you have permission first. If your target machine was your own machine, so if you nmapped your local host, that goes through the local host interface and would never hit the network. Or if you nmapped your own IP address on one of your own interfaces, that's going to not leave your machine for the scan. But it's when you're running it on external machines, that looks really scary to network security people.
Right. So Nmap by default, I forget what the upper boundary is, but it scans the first X number of ports. You can tell it to scan higher, but it is several thousand. You can see that in my default scan here, I just did a quick Nmap RHEL, and that Nmaps my RHEL server that's in my lab environment here. And you see it only got one port that's open, but that's port 90. I think it goes up to like 10,000 on the base scan. So if you want to scan higher than 10,000, you have to tell it that. If there's a specific port you're looking for, you can do an nmap dash, I think it's lowercase p, and then 9090, and it'll scan just that port. Right, and it tells me, it doesn't say that it couldn't connect. Like, it doesn't say that, like, the output that it gives me here is filtered, which tells me there's probably a firewall at the other end that told it, no, we don't accept connections for 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is true, because that's the next tool I was going to show you. Now we're going to go back and forth between Nmap and Firewall CMD, which is the thing that we use to interface with Firewall D, which is the sort of API that's in place that talks to NetFilter, which is the thing that runs in RHEL that actually does the firewall filtering inside of it. It's your host-based firewall, right? We're going to do a firewall-cmd -list all. What this is going to tell me is just the basic summary of what Firewall D is configured to do at the moment. You can see that services that are open are Cockpit, which is port. Oh, what did I just do? Oh, wow. I can do like a, Scott, did you know you could do that? I just made a
do that.
Let me see if I can put that back, because that's going to be hard to read. Oh no, what have I done?
Drag the other one too.
There we go. Now we've got server and client back where they belong. Don't click and drag the tabs. It gets confusing. So services that are open. So we can open up another service pretty easily. Now, Firewall D has a whole host of more extended options that we can deal with here. Things like zones, which are helpful if you're in an environment where you want some systems, their IP ranges to connect to a service, but others not. I'm not going to get into that today because I could spend the whole episode talking about Firewall D. We're going to just add the service HTTP. Okay. Now there's HTTP, there's also HTTPS, right? And these are definitions that are stored inside of Etsy. There's an XML file in there that has all these services defined. You can make your own if you want to. Again, not going that deep today. But now that we've added HTTP, and if you remember, in my SS output, right there was port 80. That's HTTP, right? But in my scan earlier, we didn't see HTTP because it wasn't open. So we're just going to do another Nmap on RHEL, and now we should get port 80 open as well. There we go. Now we have 80 open as well. So you can see that it's pretty easy to open a port. If I were to remove that, of course, then that would remove the port. But you can also, remember I added it by service name? If we want to add port as well. Now, if you do it by port, you have to specify what protocol you're doing as well, right? So we're going to open SSH manually by using port 22. And this is where that SS output with the numeric output is helpful. If you don't know what port the service you're looking for runs on, and you're not doing it in a numerical way, it's going to give you the name for it if your system knows what the name is. It would have said SSH instead of 22. So we do add port 22. If I do another Nmap over here,
And Nate, I would like to point out that I actually prefer adding services because some
mhm.
services actually require multiple ports. This, the service definition includes all the ports one would need for that service, whereas you have to add all the rules
Yep.
for all individual ports you might need.
And the reason I use that as an example, normally I wouldn't add SSH manually like that. I would just tell it to open the service SSH, but I didn't have another service to test with. So I did it manually. If there's a service not defined inside of the rules that already exist, then you're going to have to put them in manually or make a rule. Right. You could have a rule that says open web that does both 80 and 443. You could have a service like mail that depends on several ports. And you could say open up mail and it would open up all of them. Right. So that's definitely something to think about.